Trump's Board of Peace caused a commotion in the world. Why Ukraine cannot participate. Zelenskyy are not going to Davos because of the massive Russian strike on Ukraine, the most difficult situation in Kyiv. Latvia's State Security Service has uncovered a network of pro-Russian agents. Governments reacted cautiously to U.S. President Donald Trump's invitation to join his Board of Peace initiative. Among them are 49 countries and the European Commission. Member states would be limited to 3-year terms unless they pay $1 billion. Trump to be chairman for life. According to the invitation letter, Board of Peace would start by addressing the Gaza conflict and then be expanded to deal with other conflicts, including the Russian war against Ukraine. Only Hungary, whose leader is a close Trump ally, gave an unequivocal acceptance in response to the invitation. China and Belarus were also invited, but have not agreed to join. And President of the United States has confirmed that he sent the invitation to Board of Peace to Kremlin.
You invited President Putin to be a member of the Board of Peace?
Yeah, he's been invited.
U.S. President Donald Trump has also sent Ukraine an invitation to join the so-called Board of Peace. It was confirmed by Volodymyr Zelenskyy. The Financial Times notes that the Ukrainian president feels a certain indecisiveness because among the invitees, Russia. Before making a decision, Zelenskyy would like to understand how the Board of Peace will operate, whether it will be completely independent or if it will effectively replace the council currently being discussed by Ukrainian and American negotiators within the framework of so-called peace plan to end the war. The president of Ukraine is paying special attention to the issue of Ukraine's role in this structure. Trump's idea of the Board of Peace as an alternative to the UN is part of his broader strategy to revise the global security architecture. This is not just a diplomatic move, but an attempt to change the rules of the game that the world has lived since 1945. It is a direct challenge to the current world order. Trump has repeatedly criticized the fact that the U.S. pays the largest contributions to the UN budget, and now he decided simply to ignore it. Europe is ready to create its own military alliance instead of NATO, and together with Ukraine. This is reported by Politico. So, European countries are currently cooperating in a new format without the participation of the United States. The prototype of it is a coalition of the willing. The absence of a radical change in Trump's course, Politico emphasizes, will lead to a deep transformation of the West and threatens fundamental changes in the global balance of power. European states are increasingly leaning toward creating their own security system in which Ukraine could play a significant role. Visit of Ukrainian president to Davos is under doubt. Volodymyr Zelenskyy is staying in Kyiv for now in the aftermath of the massive Russian strikes last night. Zelenskyy might go to Davos if he has a bilateral meeting with Trump and if there will be new results about peace plan.
I would like to check how the tasks for strengthening heating and energy supply in several regions have been completed. For now, I am in Kyiv, and if I go to Davos, our teams are talking about it, then there will be a meeting. We always have a meeting with some result. Of course, meetings with America should always end with specific results for strengthening Ukraine or with the approaching end of the war. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine, during an online conversation with journalists.
Russia carried out massive strikes on Ukraine. The main goal was energy facilities. The aggressor used more than 300 drones and dozens of ballistic and cruise missiles. Explosions were heard in Kyiv and the region, as well as in the Odessa, Dnipro, Zaporizhia, Poltava, and Cherkasy regions. In the capital, 173,000 apartments remain without electricity. There are also issues with water and heat supply. A day before, Ukraine received additional missiles for air defense systems. This helped repel the attack, said the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Despite this, there is serious damage in several regions of Ukraine, including Kyiv.
The most difficult situation so far is in Kyiv. Many residential buildings are without heating. It is important that the world does not remain silent about this. Russia cannot be on equal terms with other states as long as their primary interest is killing and bullying people. Now, all Ukrainian officials, everyone who is responsible for the work of state institutions, regional and local authorities, and Ukrainian energy companies, everyone must be in Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant lost all off-site power. Power lines to other Ukrainian nuclear power plants were also impacted. It was stated by Director of International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi. This situation has occurred after several Ukrainian electrical substations, vital for nuclear safety, were damaged by widespread military activity of Russia. War criminal Putin continues to wage a genocidal war against women, children, and elderly, said Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Andrei Sybiha, after Russian massive attack. He added, "The resilience of the Ukrainian people cannot be an excuse for this war to continue, and it must end as soon as possible."
Putin's barbaric strike this morning is a wake-up call to world leaders gathering in Davos. Support for the Ukrainian people is urgent. There will be no peace in Europe without a lasting peace for Ukraine. Peace can only be achieved through strength. We need urgent additional energy assistance, air defense and interceptors, as well as sanctions pressure on Moscow. Andrei Sybiha, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, on X.
Russia has already been in a state of war with the European Union. Moscow is seeking escalation, Latvian Central Bank Governor Martins Kazaks stated in an interview with the Financial Times. He called on European politicians and financial institutions to prepare for increased hybrid attacks from Kremlin country and to continue supporting Ukraine. This is the only way to reduce the probability of a direct military conflict with Russia, Kazaks believes. More in the next story for you.
Latvia's State Security Service has uncovered a network of pro-Russian agents who were collecting information on Ukrainians and Russians who support Kyiv, the Center for Countering Disinformation at Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council reported. Participants in the espionage structure are involved in running a pro-Kremlin Telegram channel that spreads Russian propaganda and advertises contract military service in the Russian army for foreigners. They also monitored military facilities.
According to Latvian law enforcement, the network included socially vulnerable individuals of various statuses, from security guards and bloggers to entrepreneurs with serious debts. A separate element of their activity was advertising contract service in the Russian army and attempts to recruit Russian-speaking foreigners. This case demonstrates the Kremlin's typical tactics, using ideologically processed communities on social media as a source of intelligence data and potential infrastructure for destabilization. From a message by the Center for Countering Disinformation at Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council on Telegram.
Belarusian nuns from the St. Elizabeth Monastery in Sweden are suspected of working for Russian special services, writes The Telegraph. These church servants collected funds to support the Russian occupation army and were closely linked to the main intelligence directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation. The nuns not only transferred money to Russian military personnel, but also visited territories of Ukraine occupied by Russia. Head of the crisis planning group at the Swedish church, Kristen Smith, stated that the organization refused to rent premises to the Russian Orthodox Church after it was discovered that the clerics were looking for locations near military bases. Sweden has long been under close attention from Russian special services, but the most extensive Kremlin agent networks traditionally operate in Eastern European countries, analysts say.
I think Russia's agent network there has always been very powerful, but what is happening now is simply the activation and strengthening of counterintelligence regimes and the activation of special services in those countries, including in full cooperation with Ukraine and partner countries.
In December 2025, Poland faced a blackout threat due to Russian cyberattacks, stated Minister of Digitalization Krzysztof Gałkowski. The country experienced the most serious cyberattack on energy infrastructure in its history.
Everything points to the fact that we are dealing with an act of Russian sabotage, because things must be called by their names. It was meant to destabilize the situation in Poland. We have well-prepared institutions, and there is no need to panic. Nevertheless, Poland is the most attacked state in the European Union, and this hybrid war with Russia continues. In Poland, there are no troops, tanks, or military aircraft on the streets, but digital tanks are already standing here.
Europeans do not fully realize the seriousness of the threats from Moscow, experts believe. Citizens of EU member states know about Russia's war against Ukraine and support Ukrainians, but there is still not enough understanding that Russia may expand the scale of aggression to their territory as well.
This criminal regime is bound by nothing, and tomorrow, what they are doing in Ukraine, they can do in Poland and all of Central Europe at the very least. This murderous criminal policy is not spreading strongly enough into the minds of Europeans who do not realize what they are dealing with.
Russia is increasing production of unmanned systems, and this is a threat not only to Ukraine but to all of Europe, emphasized the Center for Countering Disinformation at Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council. Its head, Andriy Kovalenko, stated that it is a Russian drone, not an infantryman, that will be the first to cross the border with the alliance, reported by Andriy Dmytrenko, UATV News.
That is it for today. Thank you so very much for your time and for standing with Ukraine. Trust me, your views and reactions and comments are highly valued and much appreciated. Please subscribe to our channel so to stay tuned to what tomorrow holds for all of us in the world. Presented to you by us, UATV, from, as always, Ukrainian perspective. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.